TonyaTko here. And listen, today we're going to be talking about this Abducted in Plain Sight Netflix special premiere. And we're going to be diving into the ins and outs of this. So there are going to be spoilers inside this video. We're going to be talking about all of the different crazy canals of this foolishness. So, if you're here, there are going to be spoilers inside of this. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome. I decided to do this live because I did not want to invest the time in creating a video and then the bandwidth in uploading it. Okay, so Kiki is watching it as we speak. I didn't want to invest the time into creating a video and uploading it with my bandwidth regarding this foolishness. So listen, if you have not seen the whole thing, if you know that you're sensitive to spoilers, then go out of this video right now. Go finish watching it, go watch it, or come back. Because, no, we're not about to watch it together because I will not subject myself to this foolishness again. I watched it last night and then I ended up having nightmares about this nonsense. OMG, Stassi is saying the documentary made me want to throw my remote at the TV. Listen, let me take a survey. Let me take a survey. Okay? I'm gonna take a survey because listen, you fools tricked me into watching this mess. But everybody that I have spoken to about this, hey, good morning, everybody. Everybody that I've spoken to about this said that they had a hard time getting through it. So I want to know, I'm going to do a survey right now live. And then if you're watching this after the live broadcast, I want you to write your answer down below. What was the first point watching that series? What was the first point watching it that you said that you had to take pause, that you had to either pause it, where you wanted to throw your remote at the thing, at the TV or your computer, or throw your phone, or where you started screaming at documentary? What was the first point for you? And then I'll tell you mine. What point did it for you? And then I will tell you what point it was for me that I was like, this cannot, that I was like, you know what? I had to stop the footage. I had to stop the footage. So now we're doing a survey. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So, okay, so some people are asking, what is it? All right, so let me give a rundown of what it is while people are starting to answer for the survey. All right. Abducted in Plain Sight is a documentary. I guess we could call it a documentary, right? Because it documents what these people are saying are real life events that happened to them in their lives, where their daughter was abducted. Listen, was she abducted though? Was she? Listen. Where basically the daughter was kidnapped. She was kidnapped, and the series of events that led up to the kidnapping and what happened after the girl came back home and then was abducted again. I don't even know if we can call this an abduction. I really don't know what's going on. So listen. So we're doing a survey right now. We're doing a survey right now. At what point in the series? So this is the question. At what point in the it's not even a series because it's a one-part thing. It's about 90 minutes. It's called Abducted in Plain Sight. At what point did you yourself start screaming at your phone, computer, or TV, want to throw your remote, or had to pause it or were tempted to stop? Tell me. tell me. Tell me. Tell me. I need to know. So let's see. So Grace is saying the whole thing pissed her off, but I need to know at what point was the point that you were like, you know what, this I cannot with this. I'll tell you all what was mine. So Dee Dee was 5 minutes in. So Charity is saying I don't want to waste the bandwidth and she doesn't want to waste the time. So she wants me to give her the real deal. Okay, so OMG says when the parents said a grown ass man was spending time alone with their daughter. Okay. Graceful saying the whole thing pissed her off that they even made it. Okay. Somebody talking about Stockholm syndrome. Okay. She was given away. All right. So listen, I need people to answer the survey. Okay. Okay. So Dee Dee, when the mother began having an affair with him. Okay, Kiki say when they allowed this man to become friends with their kids. Yes, this is on Netflix right now. So Disco Lee's and I are on the same page. When when the father listen, when, when the father gave the kidnapper a hand job, I had to pause. I had to pause it. I couldn't. I was like, what's going on? I was like, what's happening right now? I was like, what's happening? So listen. So listen. Wait, listen. 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 All right, some people are saying they don't have Netflix. All right, well listen. This is your last chance. This is your last chance to leave this broadcast if you haven't yet watched sensitive to spoilers because I'm about to tell everybody what happened. I'm about to tell everybody what happened. Okay, so Shimon hasn't seen it. So, oh God. So listen and saying, so the kidnapper had the whole family. And so someone was saying that they haven't seen it, but they don't mind spoilers. Okay, so let me give you the rundown. So Sherry is saying the moment he took a horseback riding. So let me give you the rundown. So there was this family in the 1970s, right? Caucasian family in the suburbs of Idaho or Ohio, one of those. I don't remember. I try to douche my mind of this foolishness, right? I'm trying to douche my mind of the foolishness. So there was a family in suburbia in the 1970s. They say that they had never heard of child molestation and pedophiles and all this other stuff, right? The father was in business. They met this man who was in business. He was a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. So they were all in the community together, right? All right. So I'm giving a rundown right now for those who haven't seen it, those who have seen it, and those who are curious about seeing it. So the father took a liking to the guy because they were both in business. He was very charming. They had a lot in common. They both had wives, and so they had this family, but the guy didn't have children of his own, right? And the guy, did he have children? I was confused about that because they were like, "Oh, children." Wait, he did have children, didn't he? Answer that because during the latter part of it, his children were never mentioned again. Because I remember in the beginning part, they were like everybody had a best friend, and I was like, did they have best friends in just the neighborhood, or did they have best friends with his family? So okay, so yes, he had children. Oh Lord. Okay, so listen. So the families were commingled. The father of this other family took a special liking to, let's call it family A and family B. So family B is going to be the Berchtolds, which are the pedophiles family, right? And family A is the a-holes because they were just so stupid, right? So let's we're gonna do family A and family B, right? So family A of the a-holes, they allowed this man to come in and befriend their daughter. So him and the daughter had a special bond where he had a nickname for her, little Dolly, and all this other stuff. So he was saying from the moment that she was in this marching parade, and from the moment that he saw her, he knew that that was the girl of his dreams that he had been waiting for. So then he befriended this family, right? The name of the show is called Abducted in Plain Sight. Listen, stay with me. It's the title of this video. It says Abducted in Plain Sight review. So come on, listen. Don't act like the A family, okay? Let's stay together. Let's stay with it. All right. So the guy from family B, he saw the girl in this marching parade, and he knew that he had to. That was the girl of his dreams, right? So he befriended this family. Lo and behold, he had a special bond with their 12-year-old daughter. Now, listen to what it is that I'm saying. 12-year-old daughter, a 40-year-old man had a special bond with their 12-year-old daughter. He would take special pictures of her, have her hanging out on his lap, pay special attention to her, and all this other stuff. He was taking pictures of the girl, 12 years old, sitting up with her legs up and her little panty covering up her poor little innocent vagina showing. So it's like she's sitting up with the cheese. And her leg is all up in the air, panties showing in the picture. And I'm like, wait a minute, first of all, this is not appropriate, right? So then the father says that he first knew something was off. He first knew something was off with the man when he invited them on a boating trip. But he invited Jan too. So Father B invited Father A on a boating trip and invited Jan, I believe, and the wives on the boating trip. And during the boating trip, it was like nobody else existed there except for him and Jan. So it was like he was on a date with this little girl. And the father was like, oh, he knew something was off, and he was like, you know what? We ain't going out on no more boating trips with him. Something ain't right with this. So then it was just a big, confused, confuddled boondoggle inside of this thing. So basically, what ended up happening, right? What ended up happening is the man, Father B, ended up creating a separate bedroom for Jan, the girl who was abducted. He created so Jan and her sister had one big room, and he was like, "Oh, aren't you girls getting big now? Don't you need separate rooms?" So then he went and constructed a separate room for Jan to be on her side and the sister to be on her side, right? The so then the man, this crazy dude, he went to counseling for some issues that he had, right? He went to counseling for some issues that he had. He was seeing some quack doctor because he was talking about his he said that he told the family A that he was molested by an aunt when he was a child. And part of his therapy, listen to what part of his therapy is. Part of his therapy was to bond with a child and to just lay there bed in the dark with a child and just I don't know what the diagnosis was supposed to be. So this family, and they were like, oh, you can contact, he was like, you could contact the doctor if you want to, this, that, and the other, right? So then the family was like, well, it's part of his therapy. So this bottom hole man from family B was laying up in the bed. This is their daughter right here. He's laying up in the bed with the daughter, listening to this tape. And the tape is like, she took her little hand and held yours and was rubbing you faster and faster and faster. And they left the man in the bed with the girl. You want to know? Listen, ask me how long he stayed in the bed with the girl. 4 nights a week for 6 months. 4 nights a week. And then the man was like giving the girl vitamins or allergy pills. And then the girl would take the vitamins or allergy pills. He always happened to have some on hand. The girl would pass out. So the girl is laying in the bed catatonic while this man is playing some tape recorder like, she rubs you faster and faster and faster, and it feels so good and so good. And I'm like, what the? I'm like, were the parents not listening to the type of foolishness that this man was playing while he's laying up in the bed with his daughter? So then, in their daughter. So then listen. So then listen to this. So then listen. He couldn't take it no more, I suppose, because it was 6 months, half a year for 4 nights a week. He was laying in the bed, going to sleep in the girl's bed, right? Because remember, first he got her separate room, then he was doing this, and the girl was like, she would come in and out. Oh, before that, the girl said that they used to have sleepovers at his house. That's right, he did have children, because they would have sleepovers at his house. And she was like, they would sleep out on this big trampoline. And one night she woke up and her panties were down around her ankles, and the man was laying next to her, holding her, saying, "Oh, you were tossing and turning so much in the middle of the night that I had to hold you." And I was like, really? Poor child, poor child. So then, after he was laying up in the bed with the girl, 4 nights a week for 6 months, he told the mother. Let me ask you, was this before or after? Oh, I think. Oh no, this was okay. So before that, he called he called Mother A, and he was like, "Oh, listen, I forgot my lunch. Can you bring some lunch down for me?" So so she was bringing lunch down to him, and while she was bringing him lunch, he's gassing the woman up. Ooh, look at you and those legs. Legs just look so good. You just do something to me. You just make me feel wild. So now the woman thinks she got a thing going on with the man because he made her feel so excited inside. And then she and him, I think she said that they kissed, right? They kissed and she was like, "Oh, I betrayed my husband." Oh, they kissed and he was rubbing on her bosom and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, I betrayed my husband. I couldn't believe what I was doing, so I had to stay away from him." Meanwhile, on the flip side, right? Father B is over there talking about call Father A into his car, right? Listen to this mess. Brace yourself. So Father B calls Father A into his car, right? And if he's like at work or wherever, and they go for a drive, and Father B is like, "Oh, me and my wife just not getting along. We have." Oh, you know something? I'm going to tell you something that I just realized. So anyway, he's like, "Me and my wife, we're just not getting along. I'm so frustrated. I need release, Father A. I need release." Right? Here go Father A. Remember, from the A-hole family. Here go Father A. So he was saying he was so frustrated. So I I helped him out. I gave him a hand job there in the car. And I was like, really? That's when I was like, you know what? That's when I had to pause it. I was like, you know what? This is too much. It's too much. So the mother kissing him and rubbing up on him and thinking that's their little secret. Now the father. So remember, inside the documentary, the father was like, "Oh, Mr. B was very skilled at sex." So then him and the man went and engaged. That's what I just realized. He said that. How did he know that the man was very skilled at sex? How did he know that? So he engaged in a sexual relationship with this man, right? So so the father and him got this secret over there. The mother and him got this secret over there. Meanwhile, he did all of this to get in between the family so that he can get the girl. So he comes to the mother, right? He comes to the mother and he's like, "Listen, I want to take her horseback riding, right? I want to take her horseback riding." And the mother is like, "I don't know about this. I don't know about this." And she's like, "Well, you know what? Go ahead, but have her back before her father gets home, right?" All right. He takes the girl horseback riding and gives her one of those allergy. I hear some knocking, but I don't think that's me. Gives her one of those allergy pills, right? Allergy pills. The girl passes out in the doggone car. She wakes up, I don't know how many days later, right? In an RV. When the time came for the people to come home, when the time came for the man and the girl to come home that night, they didn't come home. The guy's wife came over and was like, oh, they're probably just running a little late, this, that, and the other. So this is basically what happened. And this is when the story gets bizarre. And that's what, you know what, I know, right? It's crazy. The crazy sounds going on. So listen, I know, right? I don't know what's going on. So listen, so this is, and I'm gonna truncate this story coming up soon. I just want to know just how damn stupid and crazy this thing got. So meanwhile, the girl wakes up. She doesn't know where she's at, but there's an intercom right there. First of all, she's strapped down to the bed, right? Then she goes back to sleep. She wakes up again, the straps are gone, and there's an intercom over there. Man done did, right? There's an intercom. Remember, she's 12. She's young. She's naive. There's an intercom that's like, hello, female companion. And remember, this was back in the 70s when My Cousin Martian and Star Trek and all of this other stuff was just out. So there were a lot of people who were fascinated with Mars and aliens. So the intercom is like, hello, female companion. Stupidness. You have a mission. So the voice is like, your father that you think is your father is not your real father. Your father is an alien and you are half alien and you have a mission on this planet. So they're like, your mission is to get with the selected male companion and have a baby by 16. You will save the world if you don't have this baby. This is so dumb. If you don't have this baby, the world will be destroyed. And to stop the world from being destroyed, we will get your younger sister to do this if you can't. And so it was like her father would die, her mother would die, this, all of this craziness that would happen, right? So then I was like, what in the world? So then she's like, so meanwhile, 5 days goes by and before the parents call the authorities, because the parents were like, first the parents were like, well, you know, maybe they'll be back in the morning. And it was a Friday, I think, that they left. He was like, maybe they'll be back in the morning. Then she was like, well, you know, if they're not back by Sunday, then we're definitely going to call. They tried to call on Sunday, but the office was closed. So then they waited 2 more days. 5 days went by with their daughter gone. When the FBI went to look, they found the man's car abandoned with the keys inside, with the window burst open from the inside, not the outside, burst open from the inside with blood all over the glass, right? So when the girl wakes up, she wakes up and she's like, she goes out into the she walks out from the room that she's in, because you know now she has this mission. She's supposed to have a baby by 16. She goes out because she'd been in this dark room. She didn't know what was going on with her. She sees Father B laying there, cut all up, and he looked dead, right? So she's scared. She's trying to wake him up, and she's like, she thinks he's dead. She's frightened. And then the guy finally wakes up and she's like, listen, we have a mission. She was like, somehow she knew that he was the male companion that she was supposed to do this mission with, because now she's feeling empowered. She's not human. She's part alien. And then that's when the man, and then so she goes and starts asking the man to complete the mission. So he went and psychologically effed her all up so that she was the one then asking him for the completion of this mission. And it's then when he begins raping her. And so basically, the way that he did it was he was sure to only insert just a little bit as to not tear her hymen. How long were they gone? I think they were gone for weeks. I think they were gone for weeks, right? When the man, so the FBI is involved, there's a manhunt out for them. Oh, this is what happens. The man marries her. Listen to what I'm saying. He marries her in Mexico. He marries her in Mexico. He marries her in Mexico. And the federales catch him because the man calls his brother and he tells us, so Father B calls his brother and says, listen, contact family A and say, I'm going to come back, but I've already married her in Mexico because in Mexico, the age of consent is 12. So he married her in Mexico and wanted to come back to the States to marry her, but needed the parents' permission. And the mother was like thinking, well, I thought he and I had a special thing. So what the hell is going on? The father's thinking, well, I thought he and I had a special thing. What the hell is going on? So they're like, no, you can't marry my daughter. And they're like, no. So they're pressing kidnapping charges. The federales caught up with him and put him into a jail. Put the girl in her own jail cell, right? The man had a gold. He sold his gold wedding band to the guard in the Mexican jail, right? So the guard in the Mexican jail had the girl come out of her cell to meet up with the guy. This is the corruption. So when the girl meets up with Father B in the jail, Father B is like, listen, you can't tell anybody about the mission. He's like, there's 4 things you can never tell anybody about. You cannot tell them about the mission that we've been completing, which you know what the mission is, right? The mission to create there's another human life, right? The mission to create another life because since she thinks she's half alien, it won't be human, right? So you can't tell them about that. You can't tell them about, I forget the other 3 things that you couldn't tell them about or talk about. But one of the things that she had to do was she had to stay away from all boys, all men, including her father, right? If she told anybody about the mission that they were completing together, the world would be destroyed. The father would have a heart attack. The mother's brain would explode. The sister would die. It would just be some foolishness, right? So he told this to her little 12-year-old mind, right? And can't talk about, okay, the pills, the RAPE or the mission. So those were the things. And then she had to stay away from all male persons, including her father, right? So they bring the man back. So the authorities bring the man back. Well, the mother, listen, the parents go to pick up the daughter. Listen to this. The parents go to pick up the daughter. And the daughter is like, what about Father B? We have to get him. We can't leave him here. And the parents are like, no, honey, let's take care of you from here on out, right? So the parents knew that something had gone on. The girl was different. When she came back to the house, she was just gone mentally. At that point, she thought that she was in a relationship with this man. She thought that she was in love with him. She thought that they had this affair going on. And she just basically this is how the story goes on from there. So she ends up running away because she's trying to tell her parents. Also, listen, I forgot this part. Okay. So the father and the mother are visited by wife B. And wife B is like, listen, you need to drop these FBI charges, right? Because if you don't drop these FBI charges, my husband is going to leak about the sexual affair that the homosexual sexual affair that the father has been having with him. And so the mother was like, "Oh no, we can't let this get out." So basically, this is why they did it. Because when the girl was checked out by the doctor, there was no trauma down there. Also, her hymen was still intact. So there was no sign of trauma in her vaginal area. The girl never spoke of what really happened to her. So the parents are like, "Okay, well, you know, he married her, but I guess they didn't do anything, this, that, and the other." Like, there's not other places that there can be trauma. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So then they were like, okay. So then they went and they dropped the charges, wrote a statement. He had a lawyer have them write up a statement saying that they gave permission for him to go off with the daughter and that they must have forgotten and all this other stuff, right? So then right? So then it goes on from there. And this is when the story just gets so ridiculous. First of all, the family, they failed their daughter, that the father's reputation was more important than the girl getting justice. So what ended up happening is the girl ran away from home to be with him because she want oh, there's another part. This is just pure stupidity. So the girl was like, "Look, I want to go work at the man left town and went, oh, so this is what ended up happening. The FBI was like, you know what, forget it. We're going to press charges anyway, right? And so the family was like, okay, but then the FBI had no witnesses. So they decided that they would give the man, like, let's say, I think they were going to give him 10 months in jail or something like that. But this man was conniving. I can imagine that this man was a trick and that he was getting down on his knees, sucking off or fingering anybody that he needed to. Because every time he was supposed to get some sort of sentence, his sentence was reduced down to days. So he was supposed to get 10 months, he served 10 days. He was supposed to get 2 years, he served 2 days. So I know that this man was a HOE behind the scenes. I know he was. And he was giving it up, tricking it, flipping it up for anybody who he could manipulate into his cause. So I'm sure he was doing that for the judges. I'm sure he had some stuff over his wife to make her go and get those, have her advocate for him. So he had all of these people playing them like puppets on his string, right? And so the girl was like, listen, I want to go work at his whatchamacallit, his business that he had. He opened up a family fun center where he would have access to all of these children. Jan said she wanted to go and work there. So the mother was like, absolutely not. The father was like, absolutely not. And then the man calls up the wife A, and he's like, listen, either you let her come or she's just going to end up running away, and then you won't know whether or not she's safe or not, because she's going to run away anyway. She's going to hitchhike. That's what he said. She was going to hitchhike, and she may end up worse off than if you let her come. So guess what the mother does? The mother buys the girl a plane ticket. The mother buys the girl a plane ticket and puts her on the plane. And then the girl goes and and I believe she comes back 2 weeks later. She comes back 2 weeks later, and then she runs away. She waited for the parents to go to sleep one night, and then she just ran away and she disappeared. She was gone for 3 or 4 months. And she was in a boarding school. Nobody knew where she was. The FBI was watching the guy's trailer, but the girl never came out. He was working at his brother's car lot. He could sell cars to anyone because he was such an HOE. He was probably giving tricks, turning tricks in the doggone for during the test drives. Because he had no scruples. Hey, Latoya. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. He had no scruples, so he was an excellent salesperson because he told people what they wanted to hear. He made people feel how they wanted to feel. So he had the girl enrolled in a boarding school pretending to be her father, saying that he was a CIA member and that they had just escaped. This was during the Lebanon crisis. They escaped from Lebanon and that nobody should get any information about her whatsoever. So the whole story comes to a head. That's the story in a nutshell. The whole story comes to Chuku said their head hurts from listening to this weird story. Yeah, listen. The whole story comes to a head after this because now 2 years has passed by. The girl is back. Now the guy his attraction to her is kind of dwindling a little bit because she goes from 12 to 14. Now she's 16, right? And they get her out of this boarding school. And because the FBI was like, no, this is what's really going on. So then the boarding school gave information about the girl. They went and they got the girl back home, but the girl was still all messed up in her mind. So she's 16 now, and there's a boy who likes her. And the boy took her out and bought her some ice cream or something like that. And when she called her mother, and like her and the boy had a crush on her. So remember, she was not supposed to be near any other males, otherwise the world would explode and her parents would get sick and die. When she spoke to her mother, the dogs were sick. And she was like, oh, mom, this is all my fault. This is all my fault. And then the next morning, the dogs were fine. And the girl was like, what's going on? What's going on? Right. And then when the girl had her 16th birthday and she wasn't pregnant, right? She was like she was going to go get a gun and do like a murder suicide of her sister because she just didn't want the weight of the world on her shoulders. And when she turned 16 and nothing happened, started putting two and two together, and she started using her young adult mind and was like, what's going on, what's happening. So basically that's where the story kind of ends off. If I left anything off, let me know. But then so then her and the mother were talking, and the mother started writing down notes, and the notes turned into a book. And then the man started stalking them on their book tour, and the girl had to get like an order of protection against this guy. And she confronted him in the court because the guy is going around, and he's like going around talking about how she made up these stories and all this, that, and the other, right? And then so basically, this is just so disgusting. She says that the guy probably just wanted to see her. By this time, his hair is completely white. He's an old man at this time. And he's like, why are you telling these stories? Why are you telling these lies? And then she just confronts him. She says, you have the nerve to sit there and knowing what it is that you did. You have the nerve to sit there and say that to me. And he was like, you're just writing this book. He was like, you're writing this book to get money. And she's like, no, I'm writing this book to save people from predators like you. And she was like, this is me you're talking about. How dare you sit there and pretend as if when you know the truth. And the guy he just stopped the facade and he apologized to her. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for any hurt that I may have caused you. I'm sorry. And he then the charges started rolling in. 6 other girls came forward saying that he also abused them. The man was going to go into jail for I don't know, for a short amount of time for something. I don't remember what. Impersonating a CIA, something. He was going to go to jail for a short time for something. But remember, he kept skating and skirting away from all of his charges because he's an HOE behind the scenes. And he was like, even if I have to spend one night in jail, I can't do it. I can't do it. The man went and took all of his heart medication and killed himself that night and that was it. He killed himself and it was done. It was done. It was done. So I was like, this whole story could have been so avoided. So avoided. So, for those of you who got my reenactment of the story, what are your thoughts on this? My best friend was a living grown man when she was 13. The mom would get $200 a week, hush money. People failed their children all the time. He got in trouble for messing with another kid and they sentenced him to a year, but he was gone before he could serve it. Oh, okay. Got away too easily. I don't think I could have forgiven the parents. The story was sickening. Yeah. This was just some crazy foolishness. Family was also at fault. Yeah, this was just some foolishness. He drank a nice drink and dies. Her her parents were idiots. This happens more often than we realize. I thought that this was just A sick, 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 sick story. So Dip was also failed by her mom and said she was disgusted that the parents failed the daughter. Yeah. This could have been over when the girl was 12 from getting that man locked up. So yeah, he was having an affair with both parents while assaulting the girl statutorily. The daughter is a grown woman now, 50 something years old. Vanessa, I told the whole story already. You have to go back to the beginning. I told the whole story about how he was in the bed with her and all of that. So Ivana is saying they should have never let him spend nights in the bed. Dipped in Indigo is saying, or they could have seen the obvious signs and it could have never happened. 4 to 6 nights a week for 4 nights a week for 6 months. People love sociopaths, even when they find out, dare I say, they love them even more. It's unbelievable. I thought the story was just one big blazing hot mess. There were so many instances that this family just failed their child. And I'm stunned personally. Latoya, I don't know the name of the book, but please Google it. If you Google them, if you Google Abducted in Plain Sight book, I'm sure you'll find it. People have to do better, pay attention, like what the F, just pay attention. I'm just so confused as to even if you had never heard of a pedophile before, even if you'd never heard of one, why why would you be okay with some grown person having a relationship like that with your child? A person of the opposite sex. I guess it just never dawned on them. I don't know. Kresha, would I watch this with a child to make them aware? I think that this story is so far outside of what would normally happen. I don't know if a child would benefit from the glaring and blazing stupidity of this all. It was so bizarre. It was just so bizarre. It was just so bizarre. I don't even know what else to say about it. Besides, it was just weirdness. It's like, it's an incredibly frustrating story. It's an incredibly frustrating story because there were so many opportunities for the parents to be able to save their daughter. But by the time she was abducted and got that whole alien story, it was too late. And Latan is saying her 14-year-old daughter brought the story to her. I don't know. So that's the full story right there. My review of this is I found it incredibly frustrating to watch, but it was interesting to see. One of the only things that I gained from this was the navigation of some of these sociopaths and how they'll think about chess and how some of these people are just master manipulators and they think 3 and 4 steps ahead. Like he made sure that he got dirt on the mother, he got dirt on the father in order to get to their daughter. So I imagine that he gotten dirt on everybody around him. And if there were cameras in the courthouse and some of these investigations, I know that he was whoring himself out. I know that he was. I know he was. I know. I know he was doing it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, no matter who, what, where, when, because people were frustrated back then, especially people in the church. So, yes, he got a 45-day sentence for kidnapping a child because there were no witnesses. He was supposed to get a lot longer than that. But by the time he met with whoever in their private chambers, it was reduced down to 45 days. So you already know what it is. You already know what it is. You know what it is. I don't even have to tell you. You know what it is. So, any more thoughts on that? I'm exhausted just even thinking about this, so I'm not going to stay on much longer. But I wanted to just give my review of the situation, and I just thought it was ridiculous. My takeaway from this story is I don't even know what the takeaway is. Oh, yes, I forgot the part about how he got men inside the jail to come out and burn down Father A's business. Yup, burnt down his business. What the only takeaway that I could get from this is about sociopaths and how they will think many steps ahead and work on, like, while you thinking checkers, they're thinking chess and they're thinking long haul. Another thing that really has been startling to me watching sociopaths and psychopaths, especially, because I watched the Ted Bundy story last week, is that these people lying and attempting to get away with it and attempting to exploit your stupidity. If you're stupid enough to let them get away with it, they will allow you to be stupid enough to let them get away with it. Because Ted Bundy knew that he had harmed all of these girls and he still lied. There was no honor in it. He still lied, kind of as the last hurrah. Like, I'm going to see if you're stupid enough to still let me lie. I'm going to see. And so that's what I gather from this. I don't expect any type of apology from these sociopaths. I don't expect any type of admittance, I don't expect any of that. I don't expect any of it. And so just like how Dominique the Creep was over there talking about how he was trying to help the girl up and all this, that, and the other, it's like they get off on committing a crime and then seeing if you're stupid enough to let them get away with it. And far too many of us are. And Tiana is saying a big fat loser, that Ted Bundy. No, he was actually an in shape, slender, muscular, a fit, attractive young male. And that's how he was able to navigate, because we think of these people as monsters who are hideous and you could see the look in their eyes. But Ted Bundy he was gorgeous physically. He was gorgeous. And go just look up pictures of him. He has such a pleasant face. He smiled from the eyes. He was just beaming. Lizzie is saying, I teach childhood street safety. The things I suggest to parents, they cannot believe. An abduction could take place after their child gets off the school bus. And a person would drive into their... It got cut off. So yeah, I mean, I put up the documentaries on my YouTube wall last week with the psychopaths who were being interviewed. And there was one guy who would go to the arcade and take people's children, abuse them, and then bring them back. Yep. Take people's children, assault them, and then bring them back. And drop them right back off at the arcade, tampered with. And it's a shame. It's a shame. So listen, we're going to talk for a few moments longer. Then after that, I'm going to get out of here because I just wanted to come and speak my piece about this story. It was just too bizarre to even imagine. It's too bizarre to even imagine. So 4-2 is saying, I didn't think he was that good looking. He was handsome by American standards. And you know what? So Mary, that's true. Why did he have to hug up on their child in the bed when he had children of his own? Why couldn't he hug his own children? Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't remember if there's I don't remember what he looked like, but I know from watching the documentary Ted Bundy was handsome. And Stacy says my uncle was able to abuse generations of girls in my family. Adults knew. Why did they never do anything? And so now 4-2 is saying Ted was skinny and had bad teeth. No, I don't. You could sit there and you could try to pretend as if he was not attractive if you choose to. If you choose to. You are creating a fallacy in your own mind. You're creating a fallacy in your own mind to fit your agenda for whatever reason. Ted Bundy